Welcome to Fun Facts Daily, your source for just the good stuff. Monday through Friday, we're bringing fun facts and news you can use, all carefully curated to uplift and inform. So give yourself a break, relax, and learn something awesome in just a few minutes every day. Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in to Fun Facts Daily. I'm your host Kyle Wood. Today we'll be learning all about the iconic animated sitcom, The Simpsons. This show has been a cultural phenomenon for decades, beloved by generations for its satire that strikes just the right balance of silly and smart humor. Satire is a sophisticated form of humor that challenges the audience to look beyond the surface. Its comedic power lies in the gap between what is presented, often an exaggerated or absurd scenario, and the underlying truth or societal flaw it's actually critiquing. Thinking critically, regularly questioning what we read, see, or hear is a fantastic habit for keeping our brains sharp, engaged, and healthy in the long term. So before we get into the facts, let's warm up our brains with a little challenge to see if you can tell truth from fiction. My inspiration for this episode came when someone told me something that made my ears perk up a bit. They told me that The Simpsons got their bright yellow skin tone kind of by accident. When Matt Groening was first sketching out the characters, he was in a hurry and just grabbed the first color he could find, assuming the animators would fix it later. But the animators assumed that's what he wanted, so they went with it. What do you think? Is that an actual fact or too good to be true? We'll find out at the end of this episode. Now for your word of the day. Our word for today is cromulent. This word actually originated from The Simpsons. It first appeared in the 1996 episode, Lisa the Iconoclast. The creative use of language started with Jebediah Springfield saying, quote, "A noble spirit embiggens the smallest man," end quote. And then it cut to a reaction of Mrs. Krabappel saying she never heard the word embiggens before she moved to Springfield. Then Mrs. Hoover replied, quote, "I don't know why, it's a perfectly cromulent word," end quote. Cromulent means acceptable, fine, or legitimate. While it started as a joke, it has since been included in some dictionaries, and it's used, often humorously, to describe something as legitimate or valid. It's a testament to the show's incredible cultural impact, even shaping language itself. Now for your daily high five, our top 5 fun facts about The Simpsons. Number 1, the iconic Simpsons family was hastily sketched out by Matt Groening in a studio lobby just minutes before his pitch meeting because he feared losing the rights to his other work. Originally, Matt Groening intended to pitch an animated version of his popular comic Life in Hell to the legendary producer James L. Brooks. But as he sat in the reception area waiting for that crucial meeting, Groening experienced a sudden wave of anxiety. He realized that if he pitched Life in Hell and the project was successful under the studio, he might lose creative control and the ownership rights to his beloved comic characters, which were very personal to him. To avoid this potentially devastating outcome, in a remarkable display of quick thinking, he grabbed some paper and frantically sketched out a brand new set of characters, a comically dysfunctional human family. He named the father Homer after his own father, Homer Groening. The mother, Marge, was named after his own mother, Margaret. His younger sisters, Lisa and Maggie, lent their names to the daughters. For the rebellious son, he chose Bart as an anagram of brat rather than using his own name. Many of the town's characters and locations also drew inspiration from his hometown of Portland, Oregon. This spontaneous creation, born out of a desire to protect his existing work, became the surprising foundation for one of television's most enduring and influential successes. Number 2, the iconic "Dow" catchphrase from Homer Simpson is actually in the Oxford English Dictionary, cementing its place in official language. Homer's famous expression of frustration, annoyance, or realization of foolishness, "Dow," has become so deeply ingrained in popular culture that it was officially added to the prestigious Oxford English Dictionary in 2001. The dictionary defines it as, quote, expressing frustration at the realization that things have turned out badly or not as planned, or that one has just said or done something foolish, end quote. This inclusion signifies its widespread recognition and usage in everyday English. The sound itself wasn't actually scripted, but was an inspired improvisation by Dan Castellaneta, the talented voice actor for Homer Simpson. He was influenced by James Finlayson, a Scottish actor who appeared in many Laurel and Hardy films and used a more drawn-out, whimpering "doh." Castellaneta shortened and sharpened it to the now iconic "doh." This simple exclamation has since transcended the show, becoming a universally understood shorthand for a particular kind of self-inflicted blunder, recognized and uttered by people globally. Number 3. Crusty the Clown was originally conceived by Matt Groening as a secret identity for Homer Simpson, creating a fascinating dynamic where Bart would unknowingly idolize his own father. In the very early stages of developing The Simpsons, Matt Groening had a clever idea for a deeper connection between Homer and Bart. He envisioned Krusty the Clown not as a separate character, but as Homer in disguise. The comedic appeal of this concept was rooted in the irony. Bart, who often showed little respect for his bumbling father, would simultaneously worship Krusty, Springfield's premier children's entertainer, without realizing they were one and the same person. Groening thought it would be a rich source of humor and pathos if Bart's hero was secretly the father he frequently ridiculed. But as the show's universe began to expand and storylines were being developed, this dual identity concept of Homer and Krusty was deemed a bit too complicated to sustain for a regular series. The writers decided it would offer more storytelling opportunities if Krusty were his own distinct character, allowing them to explore his own troubled life and career. Despite dropping the original idea, the show did later pay a clever nod to this initial concept in the classic Season 6 episode, Homie the Clown, where Homer enrolls in Krusty's clown college and, for a time, hilariously and disastrously impersonates Krusty. This allowed them to briefly explore the comedic potential of Homer as Krusty without the long-term narrative consequences. Number 4. Paul McCartney's guest appearance on The Simpsons came with a specific and lasting condition. Lisa Simpson had to remain vegetarian for the rest of the series. In the memorable Season 7 episode, Lisa the Vegetarian, Beatles legend Paul McCartney and his then-wife Linda McCartney, both staunch animal rights activists and committed vegetarians, agreed to lend their voices to the show. But their appearance was contingent on one important character development. Lisa's newfound commitment to vegetarianism couldn't be a one-off joke. It had to be a permanent change for her character. The writers and producers honored this request. True to their word, Lisa Simpson has remained a vegetarian ever since that episode first aired in October of 1995. This decision has not only added a layer of consistency and depth to Lisa's character, reflecting her strong moral convictions, but it also stands as one of the longest-running, continuous character developments in television history. It also subtly highlighted the show's ability to evolve and incorporate meaningful, lasting changes, even at the suggestion of a guest star. In a hilarious nod to the wild history of claims that backwards messages were secretly encoded in rock music, they put a backwards message into the audio during the credits of this episode. It wasn't anything nefarious, as so many people were concerned about during the Satanic Panic. It was simply Paul McCartney reading a recipe for lentil soup. Our fifth and final fun fact, The Simpsons holds the remarkable title of the longest-running primetime animated series and the longest-running sitcom in American television history, having first premiered as short segments on The Tracy Ullman Show in 1987 before launching as its own standalone series on December 17, 1989. The Simpsons has broadcast over 750 episodes and continues to produce new seasons. This incredible longevity is unprecedented in American primetime television and has allowed the show to satirize and comment on several decades of social, technological, political, and cultural shifts, both in America and globally. Its enduring popularity has not only earned it a multitude of awards, including over 30 Emmy Awards and a Peabody, but it's also cemented its place as a true television legend. The show's ability to constantly reinvent itself, introduce a vast universe of memorable characters, and offer sharp, often prescient satire on contemporary issues has made it a cornerstone of pop culture worldwide, influencing countless other shows and comedians. Time for some news you can use. Here's a fun way to engage more deeply with The Simpsons. Turn it into a game. I like to call it the Simpsons Trivial Reference Showdown. The show is absolutely packed with parodies and homages to movies, TV shows, historical events, literature, and art. As you watch, actively try to be the first to identify these references. For example, when Mr. Burns answers the phone saying, "Ahoy hoy," a point would go to the first person to identify that Alexander Graham Bell suggested ahoy as the proper greeting when answering a phone. In a small group or family setting, you might informally simply call out each reference you spot. But if you're like me and like to make things needlessly complicated, I'll include a link to my beloved buzzers that I use in my classroom to make trivia games a little extra because it's super fun to press buttons and watch things light up. Of course, just make sure you only play this game with other people who are on board with it, because otherwise you're just yelling out at the TV while people are trying to watch, and that's not fun for anyone. But as you and your friends start identifying all the references packed into each half-hour episode, you'll start to appreciate the show on a whole new level. It's amazing how many layers of humor there are, and recognizing these winks and allusions can make the jokes even funnier and more rewarding. Plus, it's a great way to discover new movies, music, or books that the show is referencing, making your entertainment experience even broader and more educational in a fun way. Now for the moments you've been waiting for. Earlier, I asked if The Simpsons' iconic yellow skin color was an accident, a result of Matt Groening quickly grabbing a color and animators mistakenly running with it. It's fun to imagine such a defining feature being a fluke, but this particular idea is a fallacy. The truth is, the decision to make the Simpsons characters yellow was very much intentional. Groening has said that he wanted a color that would grab the attention of channel surfers. The idea was that if someone were flipping through channels and saw this bright, unusual yellow flash on their screen, they'd stop and wonder what on earth they were looking at. Hopefully, long enough to get hooked by the show's humor and unique style. And as they were developing the show, one of the animators suggested the distinctive yellow hue that would become so famous. Of course, while that color choice was very deliberate, the early days of The Simpsons certainly had their share of improvisations and learning curves, especially in its visual development. As I mentioned earlier, Matt Groening famously came up with the initial concept for the family in a rush while he was waiting in the lobby before his pitch meeting. This being his first foray into a full-fledged animated show, he provided the animators with relatively basic, somewhat rough sketches. Groening has said he assumed the professional animators would clean them up and refine them significantly, but the animation studio, Klasky Csupo, largely embraced the rawness of his initial drawings, which contributed to the distinct, slightly off-kilter look of the early shorts and the first season of the show. So, while the yellow was a calculated move for maximum impact, the journey to the polished look we know today definitely included some happy accidents and on-the-fly creative decisions. I hope you enjoyed learning about The Simpsons with me. Be sure to tune in every weekday for even more fun facts. Fun Facts Daily is an Airwave Media podcast. It was written, recorded, mixed, and edited by me, Kyle Wood. Thanks for sharing a part of your day with me. Be sure to follow Fun Facts Daily on your favorite podcast app so you can keep the good stuff coming your way every day. And if you like the show, please do me a favor and leave a kind rating, review, or just tell your friends about it.